and get you updated on that. Now, that warning has been allowed to expire, but as we look at it here, it doesn't look as prominent. It still has a bit of a hook, and that's northeast of Luella. And it's possible you could see a lowering in the sky, but as for the velocity, not all that promising there. That would show a real spin up of a tornado, and that's why the tornado warning has been allowed to expire. So let me go back out to the full scan again one more time, and then we'll go back into East Texas here. So what we're looking at is just the velocity. The one particular storm is not too far out of our area. It's probably another 20 minutes before arriving in our area. The Natchitoches one, the spin not as prominent, so the tornado warning's been allowed to expire. But across Toledo Bend up into northeast Louisiana, keep an eye to the sky because we do have several thunderstorms that have the possibility of spinning up and becoming tornadic. And again, we're watching this one down in the San Augustine County area. I'm going to go back there in just a second, but as I put it into motion, you can kind of get a lay of the land of what we have going on. More thunderstorms are starting to develop as the afternoon is wearing on here to the north, and it's not out of the realm of possibility that these could also become tornadic with the situation that we have set up. Very warm, very humid, a lot of spin in the atmosphere, what we call wind shear. No cold fronts this time to roll in. It's just very cold air in the upper atmosphere to make it very unstable and thus to possibly make supercell storms. So these will be the discrete ones. We're accustomed to the cold fronts rolling through with the line of storms that have the quick spin-up tornadoes. This is a whole different ball game today. These are the ones, that's why we have that particularly dangerous situation, tornado watch, and these are the ones that can give you incredible damage. Patrick?
Okay, so as far as the Weather Service right now, they're not reporting anything as far as any damage or anything like that, but they're just highlighting the fact that the areas particular in the region, this area here, the southern area that you're talking about, is very high instability. Despite weaker low-level shear, we're still seeing the potential tornadic supercells across the area. Rotation collapsed in association with that tornado warning in Natchitoches. That's the reason why they end up canceling that one.
Okay, and it's, that is starting to move into the Wind Parish area. So good news on that front. No damage reports as of yet, but we're still watching this one particular storm. And as Patrick is saying, very cold upper atmospheric air is pulled overhead, and temperatures down near the ground are near 80 degrees. So we do have the low-level instability and also the very cool air aloft to help with the high-level instability. And the spin, well, we did lose a little bit of that down there, but we still have plenty, especially just east of the Arklatex, to spin up, in other words, wind shear, to help spin up more of these severe thunderstorms, possibly producing tornadoes. So let me go back real quick as this heads toward our Arklatex area. It is time to get ready for you folks in Toledo Bend. This is getting a little bit closer. It's moving northeast at 40, and it looks like two cells kind of merged there. And at times, whenever you have two cells merge, you can get a little more spin. So where the possible tornado is right here, and so it's just about to move across over toward the San Augustine area. So not too many people pick up our broadcast in San Augustine, but we still have to watch this as it gets a little bit closer. Mid-Toledo Bend from Shelby County down into Sabine County targets for this one particular storm as it moves northeast at 40. So I'll stop the motion here, give you another estimated time of arrival where you folks in Toledo Bend need to get ready for this possible tornado. So let me get this here. What I'm going to do is put a cone here from where one of the possible funnels is, moving northeast at 40. So where does that put over the next few minutes? A few of the communities, perhaps Wally, Louisiana at 352. So Sabine Parish in the crosshairs too if this storm lasts. And the atmosphere is unstable enough to where that could be the case here over the next several minutes. But all along that Toledo Bend area, you're looking at a possible tornadic thunderstorm. And not only that, possibly destructive hail with it being so cold in the upper atmosphere. You're looking at, and not the largest hail here. This is just estimated. That's an algorithm that shows this, but possibly 1-inch diameter hail. Nonetheless, if it's accompanied by some very strong winds, it could be quite destructive for you. Patrick, any updates on
No, we don't have. There's nothing out as of yet from the Weather Service on any of these storms as of right now.
Okay, so that's what we're looking at right now. The tornado warning, once again, for the Natchitoches Parish area for the Natchitoches, the city of Natchitoches has been allowed to expire. No reports of damage that we can see right now. The storm weakened some as it went through the southeast corner of Natchitoches. The latest storm that we're watching is heading toward Toledo Bend, but it's still a few minutes away before reaching viewers in our area. So what we probably ought to do here is we'll take it to KBXJ.
Real
Okay,
fast.
go ahead.
Cell merger likely ongoing with a thunderstorm located to the northeast of Brodus. That's the one there in East Texas.
Yeah.
New tornado warning is coming.
Okay.
And it'll be interesting to see how that tornado warning works out, if they're going to leave it there in the San Augustine, Sabine County area, or if they're going to expand it a little bit further to the east.
And that being the case, that could be knocking right on the door of the Arklatex here, especially Toledo Bend. But yeah, you can see this here. You can see the two cells merged there, and at times you can really get some spin up there. In fact, there's a new there appears to be a new funnel forming right there. You can see an incredible bounded weak echo region. This is our Mega 3 Storm Team Doppler radar, but after that merger, you can get we're getting some spin there. I'm going to go to the dual pole and see if we got any update. And you're starting to see the brighter colors with the reds and the greens right next to each other. That's where you have the spin. The initial warning came from this here, where you have the reds that are going away and the greens toward the Shreveport radar site. This is right at San Augustine. There's your new warning there, Patrick. It goes right up to our area.
Right. Yeah. So severe thunder. I'm sorry. Pardon me. The tornado warning, Sabine, San Augustine. So they kept it over in East Texas area. And I'm actually wondering too, Joe, they could have expanded. It did expand a little bit further to the east than what it was. Maybe they're also watching to see if we see this thing build up or take a collapse, sort of like the one we saw in Natchitoches. So, but right now it does look like it is heading towards the Toledo Bend area. I think anybody that's in the area of the Toledo Town region there, matter of fact, I'm just now sending a text message to my friend at Toledo Town and Tackle down there to tell them to watch the weather, what's going on, because it looks like it's going to be moving right there near that where Louisiana 6 crosses there over Toledo Bend.
Yeah.
It looks like right where it's going to be moving towards, or just north of it.
Yeah, that's some good information there. And we're going to zoom in a little bit closer. We're going to have to just keep you on here. This is getting too close for comfort for our viewers, unfortunately. Another one's trying to develop there. But not only that, and with the tornado warning going right toward Toledo Bend, with this particular cell, let me get this out of the way real quick. Right just northeast of Brodus now, and that's the city of San Augustine. So that's where you have the one initial supercell where it spun up a possible tornado. And then when they merge, here comes the next one. You see that big hook that's developing right there. That's even closer to our areas along the Toledo Bend reservoir there, and moving to the northeast at 40. So what I'm going to do here real quick is give you an estimated time of arrival. Things have changed. This initially was a little bit farther to the south and west. Now we got it appears to be a new funnel trying to form, and more cells are merging. So here's this one coming up from here. Here's one going this way. This could spin up that real quick and cause that one to be a prominent tornado, the most prominent of that supercell. Look at that, Patrick, as that's come up from Pineland there rapidly. That's just an indication. So that's a low-level shower. That's indicating that the low-level jet is going about 50 to 60 miles per hour, merging with a little bit higher up winds, and that's causing more spin. Essentially, I can make the wind shear pick up and make that a stronger possible tornado if it does develop there. So what I'm going to do is expand out just a little bit, give you an estimated time of arrival for the two storms moving into our Arklatex area here over the next several minutes. Things are happening pretty fast here. In fact, Patrick, I don't know if they're watching this one cell just southeast of Manny, but here's another discrete possible supercell. And you can kind of see when it has a little bit of a curvature to it that it's got some wind shear, that the precipitation is being wound around the updraft there. And so anytime it starts looking like a real smooth sea, that's where you got a supercell. And the one that came out of Natchitoches, it has a pretty good curve to it too, even though the spin wasn't as prominent. Of course, we have to look inside to get an idea of the spin. But real quick, I'm going to go back to where I was taking you here with this possible tornadic thunderstorm. So I'm going to slow this down. Go ahead, Patrick.
Okay, so a couple of things that just jumped out at me, and looking at the VIL profiles on it, these things are probably also have the potential to produce some large hail Because that was one of the things they were watching also for these storms. Number two is that old rotation there that was for Natchitoches earlier, they are keeping an eye on it because it does appear that it might be trying to tighten back up again just to the east of Clarence.
Okay, well, I tell you what, let's go there real quick that's a real, and you can just see it by looking at, this is our Mega 3 Storm Team Doppler radar, but the curvature is there. So now if we go in and look at real quick at the storm, we'll go to the velocity scan, and this is what Patrick is talking about. So the red is blowing away, and the greens are shooting up toward the radar, and that's all you can see is the to and from velocity signatures there. Now we've taken the movement of the storm out to give us a better picture of what's happening. So it is apparently trying to spin up once again. Now it is moving toward the Wind Parish area. It is pushed past the Natchitoches area. So Natchitoches, you're fine for right now. No damage reports coming out of your area. And Provençal, it looked like some debris was near your area, and it may have just been out perhaps with the Kisatchie National Forest. But nonetheless, you can see now, here's a later scan. There's a little brighter colors there where this may be trying to spin up again. And and the Weather Service, as Patrick was just saying, Patrick Dennis, meteorologist Patrick Dennis is here, folks, if you're wondering who I'm talking about. This may spin up again and become a prominent possible tornado. Going back to our Mega 3, what I wanted to do initially was give you an estimated time of arrival when the storms in East Texas would reach our Toledo Bend, folks. And what I'm going to do is expand out just a little bit. So here's another supercell, but let's get the ETA here. I'm going to pan out just a little bit more here. These are moving northeast at 40. And so we'll go to this here. Let's close this off. So the original tornadic area still hanging on. Moving northeast at 40 gets it in the Sabine Parish. How long does that take? Well, possibly near Zawali at 3:54. So right now that's about 50 minutes from now if it continues on its path. Now if it spins up a little stronger, it may cut a little more to the south of that between Zawali and Florine, but that's still up in the air. That's why we have the uncertainty in the cone. But there's a secondary circulation that may take over. And so what I'm going to do here is erase this business. Let's clear that out. And we'll give you an idea where that could be moving into the Toledo Bend area. So here's the cone of uncertainty there. Let's close this off in this second little area. And it's not really doing nothing right now, and it's not guaranteed to, but it's not out of the realm of possibility that it couldn't develop into something here. So Manny on the south side at 348, and you're looking at a little bit farther into Marthaville as we head into later into the hour there. So we got supercells developing in this area. I'll get you updated one more time before things really start getting crazy here. Patrick, any updates from the National Weather Service?
No, the only thing of it is that they're continuing a severe thunderstorm warning for an area there in Sabine and San Augustine with it. So it's sort of weird that, we had a tornado warning, but they're going to continue a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado being possible. So they sort of overlay each other.
Yeah, and so it might be in the case that it is, instead of spinning up so much, it might have the rear flanking downdraft that's blowing some straight line winds out, and that could be the case. So here's your supercells. You got the one that's leaving Natchitoches Parish going into Wind Parish that once was a tornado. And I saw some debris using a dual pole Doppler radar there near Provençal. But that could have been just treetop debris. Here's another supercell. That's 1, 2, and here's 3, and those two have merged. This one is moving into our Toledo Bend area there. We certainly got to keep up with. Here's some more supercells. Now these have moved on into northeast Louisiana, and they're out of our viewing area. But it's not necessarily the case all the time that if you're going to have a tornado watch, that you're going to have all your severe weather within the watch area. It's close to the watch area and within the watch area because you have another supercell right up here that's over the Claiborne Parish area, and that could be problematic here fairly soon. But real quick, I want to update you. So what you see in yellow here, the National Weather Service, actually the Storm Prediction Center, has issued a tornado watch until 7 o'clock. And this is just not your ordinary tornado watches. It's a particularly dangerous situation because we don't have a cold front blowing in here. We don't have an upper level dynamics driving this. So we don't have your front with the quick spin up tornadoes. What we have here is the heat, the humidity, a lot of spin in the atmosphere, and then to set things off to break our cap or lid in the atmosphere, it's very cold in the upper atmosphere. And so this is kind of our second severe weather season. That's what you see. And so these little areas of showers are boiling up and busting through the cap, and there's enough spin to make them take off and become tornadic. And that's what we're dealing with here. Patrick, any updates from the Weather Service folks, or from the? We do have some weather watchers down in Toledo Bend country.
I have not seen anything as of yet. I have the newsroom trying to check on to see if we have anything out of Natchitoches or not. If I get anything, I'll let you know as soon as I get it.
Okay, so that's what we're dealing here with. So real quick, I'm going to put this into motion here. And so we're watching this next tornadic thunderstorm moving into our Toledo Bend area there. And folks in Toledo Bend, it's about time to get ready to take cover, and I'll show you where in just a moment. The one supercell that was warned for now is in Wynn Parish. Another one is working up into the southwest corner of Natchitoches Parish. They're not developing yet, but going back to right over the Claiborne Parish area, we do have a storm that could become severe. You can just look at it. The velocity intensity is picked up quite a bit, and it does have that little curvature on the back side of it, the tail end of it. So it's a discrete storm, and it's possible that too could spin up right now, dropping a pretty good load of rain there in the Homer area and also in Lake Claiborne, moving northeast at 40 miles an hour. It's not warned for yet, but if we look at the velocity, we'll probably see a little bit. You can see that.
It just has just a little bit there.
The red's moving away, the green's toward. It's not real prominent, not real strong. That's why it's not warned for, but it's an indication there's a lot of spin in the atmosphere, and any of these storms, even outside of our tornado warning, can become tornadic thunderstorms. So it may not just be the southern and eastern part of the Arklatex here. It could be other areas too, especially in northwest Louisiana. So I'm going to go back here, expand just a bit, and then we'll take us down to Toledo Bend, because that's going to be the problem area here over the next several minutes. Here's our Mega 3. We'll put it into motion here. And so the tornado warning goes right up to Toledo Bend there. No other warnings at this time. So now we'll go back down there. Northeast Texas, Oklahoma, you're fine. Southwest Arkansas, you're fine. But the supercells are starting to pop up around our region. The strongest ones right now, southern and especially southwest part of our Arklatex area. I'll zoom in a little bit closer here. We're watching this one. We do have a chat page there, Patrick. I don't know if you can see it, but we do have some weather watchers down there. Sabine County, and not Sabine County, but Shelby County and Sabine Parish.
I'm checking your page right now to see if I see anything on any of it.
Oh, good. You found it. Okay,
I'm
fantastic.
looking at your stuff.
And there's a chat area there too that we might have some folks. So I'm going to go back to this. So this is working out pretty fast. It's about to move on in to the Sabine County area. In fact, it looks like so now you could see the hook. Here's the hook right here. This is a tail end where it originally was, but here's another hook that's developed right there, and that may be a little bit higher up in the atmosphere of the spin. But it may be reorganizing itself, and so this is right moving. It's not too far out of Shelby County. That warning does butt right up into the Sabine Parish area as that is moving northeast at 40 miles an hour. So that's kind of what we're dealing with. I'm going to go back to the velocity scan, see if we have anything that shows a very prominent signature. And it's still down there at the tail end. Could be another signature up there just by looking the way the rain was spinning up on our Mega 3. But that's pretty much down this way. And the greens, again, are coming towards Shreveport's radar, and the reds are blowing away. And when they're right next to each other, that's where you have spin. That's how we can tell their spin in the clouds. Now, we're a few thousand feet up in the atmosphere, so the actual pinpointing the location of the tornado versus what we're seeing, it could be a little bit off here and probably more down to the south and perhaps the west from where we're looking. But that tornado warning ongoing here over the next several minutes. In fact, we can show you the current warning situation there. So the red indicates a tornado warning. The yellow indicates a severe thunderstorm warning. Both of these go until 3:45, which is next 35 minutes.
So the thing of it is, first of all, they've continued. That warning does continue there with it. Take a look when you get a chance back over at that storm there now east of Clarence, moving over there. It looks like moving in the direction towards Winfield.
Okay.
And take a look at the velocity scan on it as well. Like they said, it is tightening up. I mean, this is a small, compact storm. There. Also, I have some friends up in Homer. I was trying to find out from them what that storm was like. I sent them messages, but I haven't heard back from them. That storm looks like it's not quite as strong as what it was earlier.
You can, and you see the hook, yeah.
Yeah, you see it there. You can
Yeah,
definitely
you
see it.
a
That's what
real
jumped out at
prominent
me.
hook, yep. And
And
if
see what your
there's
velocity shows
there's
on
any
it.
tornado there, it's going to be right in that hook. So then, as Patrick's saying, we look at the velocity. Oh, that's the hail algorithm there. So yeah, you are getting so the green going toward the radar site, and you're seeing a little bit brighter colors and the red blowing away. So it's possible this is redeveloping into a tornado. And for our folks that are watching from the Winfield area, this one will probably get real close to you here over the next several minutes. It's moving northeast about 40. So let me give you an estimated time of arrival there. I'm going to go ahead and then move this guy just back a little bit. I'll probably have to expand out because these guys are moving along pretty good, and the reason why they're moving so fast today because they winds. In fact, there's another one spinning up there, Patrick. You might notice just east of Manny. That one has a little signature to it that is starting to indicate that supercell is getting a little stronger.
That may stay, just south of our main part of our area if we're lucky, but it looks like it's going to go like right across the southern half of Natchitoches Parish, maybe more towards Natchez or south of Provençal as well.
Okay, so we're looking at possibly, here's a few of the communities, Tannehill and Sykes. So these are kind of right on our edge of our viewing area, but we do have people that do report to us, our weather watchers that come out of this area, so we know we do have some viewers down here. Maybe a redevelopment of a tornado that once was near the Natchitoches area or moved to the southeast corner of Natchitoches. This may be the next one that comes our way and moves up into the Wynn Parish area. But going back, we need to go back to Toledo Bend because that one is certainly that'll keep us busy here. It looks like over the next couple hours if it hangs on there, and it does move into a pretty prominent environment for spin and the instability and what have you. So I'm going to go back down here. First, I'll just put it into motion. This is what we're watching, folks. This is why we have you on the air. Folks, down here in Toledo Bend, it's getting time for you to take cover there as this is moving into northern Sabine County and moving northeast at 40 miles an hour. More storms are developing. Patrick was just mentioning that the one near Claiborne, Lake Claiborne, is moving northeast out of there. Not as strong as it was. This one appears to be redeveloping near Winfield, and a new one is down southwest of Natchitoches, but not warned for as of yet. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer. Weather watchers, any weather watchers?
Actually, I just posted in there to ask if anybody's seeing anything so far.
Okay.
I read back into the chat area. There's nothing in there that appears to be storm-related as of right now, but I'm waiting to see if I hear back from anybody on it. There's nothing new at the moment as far as the chat room is concerned.
Okay. So what we have right now, this storm here, so you can see the pennant right here. So if there's a tornado, it's going to be right in this area. Real quick velocity scan check, and you see the bright colors right down there. The green's blowing towards Shreveport, the red's away. So this is just west of Milam. So how far does that put it away from Toledo Bend, or at least the border of, let's see, let's go distance-wise here. So that's an update. That is just about 14 miles. And with it traveling about 40 miles an hour, that's what you're looking close to, 15 minutes or less getting to Toledo Bend. So we're going to have to just keep you on here, folks, with this. But expanding out just a little bit, it's the southern areas right now that are giving us some concern. But you can see more storms with the reds and the greens together. That's the one supercell. There's two. There's three. This one in Natchitoches Parish there could work up to I-49 here soon. The one that was up in Claiborne Parish, not very prominent, but where the reds and greens again are together, that's where we're having some trouble. Going back to our Omega-3, I'm going to tell you what, I'll zoom in a little bit closer here. Let's get down a little closer to Toledo Bend once more. And let's see, I'll move this back over here. So this is one that we're watching, folks, that is coming toward Toledo Bend. And again, this is it's under a tornado warning. Give you an idea when that tornado warning expires there. I do believe it's 3:45. 3:45. So what that means is that the tornado, there's a possible tornado coming toward you. Where is that tornado now? Well, let's zoom in a little bit closer to that area. It's getting close to Toledo Bend. Let's go back here to our Omega-3. All right, so this is due north of Pineland and just to the west of Milam, and it's about 15 minutes from coming up to the Toledo Bend Reservoir there. So this is where the possible tornado is. I'll zoom in a little bit closer. Folks that are in this area, obviously time to take cover. over the next several minutes. Where will that be? Well, we zoom in a little bit closer. You have Highway 21 near Rosevine, and it looks like it'll probably go north and east of that. It'll come up to 21 over the next few minutes, and then once we get up here toward Toledo Bend, then we're moving into close to the Highway 6 in that area. So that's what we're looking at. I'll put it into motion. This is one of those supercells, and first let's just get the velocity scan one more time. So it looks like the strongest spin is right near the Rosevine area there. So that's the way what looks like a possible tornado, looking at our Mega 3 with the tail end of it over here. The spin in the upper atmosphere, or the updraft, where the tornado could be, is right in this area near Rosevine. So that's what we're looking at, and that's moving northeast at 40. Folks in the Highway 21 area there, and that little cross highway that comes out of Milam there, are in the path of this possible tornado. As for debris, let's see if we have any debris here. Put it into motion. And it's possible there's some near Rosevine. It could be some noise there, but there's possible that it's lifting a little bit. Any news of a touchdown?
No, nothing there. Basically, though, the National Weather Service is basically re-emphasizing that the area primarily south of Interstate 20, that just because of the environment that is in place there, that there is an increased threat of tornadoes with any supercells that do develop. And again, emphasize here right now, the worst, I mean, the area that's really being monitored the most is pretty much where we're seeing the storms right now. It's mainly south of Interstate 20, because they'll have an opportunity to tap into, an environment there that is very favorable to produce perhaps tornadic thunderstorms or large hail. So again, it's nothing new. It's just reiterating what it is that we've already been looking at so far. So I would imagine that it's going to be that area, probably if you drove a line, probably just north of where you are right now, over towards areas of, let's say, probably Ruston and eastward.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be something a little bit further to the north, but that's the prime area.
So certainly south of Shreveport, Bossier, but covering Toledo Bend country there. Now, if you watch this one in particular, it looks like it may come up toward Manny here. So folks in Manny, right along Toledo Bend, from Milan to Manny on that highway, and especially just to the north and west, this is going to be an interesting situation for you. So folks up near in Toledo Bend, I'll show you where you need this thing's coming immediately at you. So if you're north of the Milam area, you got Highway 87 there, 21, 87. So in that area, it's time to take cover. And I do mean get away from the windows, get to the lowest floor of your house. You don't want to go out there and try to chase this. You won't be able to see it, especially with all the trees around there. This is moving northeast at 40. There's not a whole lot of time to get ready for it, but if you are in Toledo Bend there, and this is west of Manny.
Yeah, it looks like it's probably going to go just north of Manny, but I'd say anybody there that lives on the Texas side there, north of 103, I believe that it is, that changes over to Louisiana 6 when it crosses over. Probably north of there, you're looking at areas probably near north of Alliance, probably towards Ebarb, Zwally areas there. And again, the storm, we don't know for sure if the storm's going to stay together long enough to get there, but it's that vicinity there of Sabine Parish.
Yeah, and you can see that's a movement over 1 hour there, and you can see the whole storm has quite a bit of spin, and it has merged with some other cells. It looks like here they have the severe thunderstorm warning continuing. It looks like they cut off the back end of it, so that's probably right on the tail end of that storm. And, if it does spin up a little bit stronger, it may take a little more of a right turn and head farther south, but there's that uncertainty there. Right now, not as much spin, and thus still kind of hugging or hanging out with the northeast track, but headed toward Toledo Bend, still under a tornado warning here, and this goes until 3:45, so we're another 25 minutes with this particular storm. No reports of damage at this time. If we're looking at debris, we can a little bit farther out. Let's see, we might be able to see some. It's in rural sections here, and it's the Weather Service is not too excited about debris. And if you do see debris, it's going to be kind of a yellow area and a quick gradient to a blue and a white. Not seeing that in that sea of purple. So right now, I think we're okay with it not being quite that strong, but still a dangerous situation. Again, tornado warning. 3:45 goes right up to Toledo Bend, And folks in Toledo Bend, as Patrick was telling you there, especially north of 21, at least for the time being, it's time to get ready for a possible tornado coming your way. Going back to our Omega-3, doesn't look quite as promising as it did earlier, which is a good thing. But if we're going to have any kind of a tornado, it's probably in this area here, just northwest of Milan, where we have this spin. There could be another one trying to develop there farther upstream, where we have the original or one storm merge, not very prominent signature there. Going back to the dual pole velocity, you can see the velocity there, a couple of couplets here and there, but nothing stands out showing real bright colors, showing real strong spin. So that's good. Hopefully this thing will kind of settle down, perhaps move into a little more stable environment, but we're still under that tornado warning. I'm going to go back to the full scan here and get the rest of the architects updated. Another supercell is coming in Natchitoches Parish. You got the one over near Winfield. These two storms haven't gotten any stronger. They look promising, as if they might. Zooming back in to the Wind Parish area. So you got your little hook right here. So you got and probably some hail up there just west of Winfield. So the hook is getting close to Winfield, and that's the area where it's spinning in the bounded weak echo region, spinning right up there. So the possible tornado will be right there on the edge of that. So it's just southwest of Winfield. And see that hook there. Now if we go to the velocity scan from the National Weather Service, you do have the reds and the greens right next to each other. The greens toward, the reds away. So you got that spin, but it's not the most prominent. It's not real bright. It's trying to form up there, so it's possible you could see something here over the next few minutes in the Winfield area. We're not looking at a warning at this time, though. What I am going to do, though, is move a little bit farther to the south and west, as another cell is that one's down near Provençal. Earlier in Provençal, there was an area of debris that I saw on the dual pole Doppler radar. Now, down that far, it was probably a good 5,000–6,000 feet up in the air. It is a volume scan, so it could have been higher, but the Weather Service is not too excited about that right now. That would have been out in the Kisatchie National Forest, and it may have been some debris for some trees. That was lifted up. A little bit of spin down there just southwest of Provençal. That's another supercell that we're keeping an eye on. And actually, the one down there in Toledo Bend's gotten a little stronger. If you look at the colors there, it's a little bit brighter. A little bit brighter outflow. The inflow is not terribly strong, but the outflow is brighter. So we may start looking at a kind of a rear flanking downdraft for a big gust front.
Well,
that may.
Look, I'm thinking there on that east side of it there. That see just north of Milam.
Yeah, you can see it.
I bet you there is a huge gust there coming out of that.
That is a gust. You can see the way it. Yeah, exactly. I'm with you there. You see how it kind of expands out there and shoots out toward the east. So that's the storm. Instead of spinning like it was, now it's got a bit of an apex. So that's that's about a 10-mile wide area of strong gusty winds. Yeah. And with the spin that it had earlier, these winds still may be strong up there, 80 plus miles an hour. Hard for me to get a good accurate assessment on that because it's going kind of perpendicular to the radar beams. But you can see the bright colors. That's an indication that there's strong winds, and they're moving now toward Toledo Bend. And it's moving this way, and so you still could get a spin up, but that's it looks more like it is becoming kind of a straight line wind event, at least for now. That's just north of Milam and just a few miles from Toledo Bend Reservoir, but that could do quite a bit of damage. And this is obviously not a time to get out on northern or central Toledo Bend with the storm coming up on you there, as it could be quite a dangerous situation. But also, folks, there could be some trees and power lines that are laid down by this storm, and that could pose a very tough problem there too. So this storm's still under a tornado warning for the next few minutes. Doesn't look as prominent a tornado as we had earlier, but it does have a gust front, a rear flanking downdraft that's shooting out there. And that's what we're seeing right now in the Toledo Bend.
And the hail estimates there too, I'm seeing like estimated on the radar, it's like 2-inch size hail. Now that you might be able to get something even pop up there that's going to queue up showing you something a little bit bigger, but the what it's showing is just amazing. You had 1.6, so I'm guessing 1.5 to 2. That one
Yeah.
earlier near Winfield also was estimated about 1 to 1.5 inch size hail.
Yeah, and these supercells, they're growing into so they're spinning. They have some great spin. That separates what we call the updraft that feeds the storm and the downdraft that comes down with the rain and the hail. And then when it's way cold in the upper atmosphere, today the National Weather Service said the what we call the wet bulb zero, where you run into freezing, is about 10,000 feet up. That's very low for this time of year because of that real cold air aloft. So large destructive hail possibility, and moving up with this storm as it comes toward Toledo Bend. So not only the strong winds that are going with this storm, but also the hail and a possible tornado. This is coming right up on Toledo Bend there, folks. So get ready here. Let me get you updated again on what's going on. So we still have a little area where it could be a funnel, probably more of a rear flanking downdraft, but just northwest of Milam, just a matter of about a few miles from the western shore of Toledo Bend, moving to the northeast at about 40. So I'm going to expand out and give you an estimated time of arrival because it will be moving into the Sabine Parish area here in just a few minutes. So let me back out here. Let's see if we can get that to work. Any updates from your Weather Watcher friends?
No, I
sir?
checked and see. I got a couple checked in. They just told me nothing was going on, but
Okay,
they're in
good.
areas north of it. But one thing I just want to point out real fast too,
Yeah,
as I know we're having a little scattered activity pop up as far north as Interstate 20.
yeah.
But this is not severe storms in the sense. So hopefully Shreveport and all in north of I-20 will be fine. You just see it right there. It popped up right when it popped up on your screen. New severe thunderstorm warning coming for a cell north of Hemp Hill, holding off on the tornado for right now. So that's
Okay.
interesting. They're going with it there, and I'm thinking too the reason they are. But you can't let your guard down for these things, Joe, because you know as well as me, a storm that produces this downburst of winds or gust front along it, whatever it is you want to term it, there with it, can cause more widespread issues than a centralized, isolated tornado.
Yeah, and that is correct there, and it's moving right toward the Toledo Bend area. So, looks like so as it goes on into Sabine Parish and on into southern DeSoto Parish and western Natchitoches Parish, we're looking at possibly if it holds together like that. And it's ever changing, but what Patrick is talking about here is this is kind of shifting from a tornadic thunderstorm to one that has a big area of wind that's blowing out away from it. And you can kind of see that. So it could be an extensive area. This is about 10 miles of a big gust front that's about to roll into the west side of Toledo Bend. So it could be some widespread tree and power line damage. And still, even in that area, you could see it return to its former glory where it was spinning up as a tornado. But this is heading right toward the western area of Toledo Bend. We still have that tornado warning for the next few minutes. And again, they've extended it up as a possible straight line wind event there in Sabine Parish. We're going to keep you on the air here a little while longer with this danger storm that's moving into the Toledo Bend area, folks. Appreciate your patience here, especially in other parts of the Arklatex where you're not looking at any problems right now. I'm zooming in a little bit closer. And so what we're looking at, the red areas, you can see how it's kind of spinning and moving up there right into, here's Toledo Bend right there. So coming in the west side of Toledo Bend. This is the velocity we're looking at. The reds are blowing towards Shreveport. We're using a dual pole Doppler radar, and the greens are blowing away. And this is where we're looking at a big, what we call a rear flanking downdraft that once was possibly a tornado that's blowing into western Toledo Bend that could do a pretty good area of extensive damage, at about 10 miles there. That could get some trees and power lines and even possibly a little bit of structural damage. That's why the warning, your tornado warning is there. And then you have a severe thunderstorm warning there that goes on in the Sabine Parish. So that's what's happening in that area. Another few minutes away from getting to the other side of Toledo Bend and moving on into Sabine Parish. I'm going to go back to the radar here and let's give you an update for everybody in the Arklatex. Now you look at it now and you see where the heavier downpours are, and there's not as much of a inflow, so it's more with the rains real heavy here that are pushing out a gust front, and you still have the tornado warning here for another few minutes. So that's what it's looking at. It's ever changing. This is kind of what happens with these events here. So I'm going to put it into motion. I'm going to take the camera back out, and let's see. Let's actually go to the home view real quick. So there's that storm moving on over toward Louisiana. Here's another supercell, but not warned for. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, one coming up on the south side of Natchitoches where he had trouble earlier. Got the one northeast in Claiborne Parish, and then some starting to develop around Shreveport and Bossier, but the strongest ones are still hanging out in southern parts of our area around Toledo Bend. And that's pretty much going to be it in this area for the next few hours, and occasionally we'll see a spin up to a tornado.
They are continuing the tornado warning there, the one near Milam over there. You know, technically expires at 3:45.
Yes.
They put out a thing that states, though, that it is continuing there for a storm, possibly producing a tornado. No confirmed reports as of yet. But the other thing, you know, like they put 35 miles an hour on this one here, that severe thunderstorm warning, I mean the main part of the storm there, as it moving 45 miles an hour to the east, that shows you that no doubt it's going to have strong winds with it.
Yeah, just exactly, just from the movement itself. Yeah.
They're estimating winds might get upwards of 70.
And 70 can do quite a bit. And, trailer homes, manufactured homes, quite a bit of structural damage can occur in that type of wind. So hopefully you have a safe place to go as this moves across Toledo Bend and moves in not only across the western shore of Toledo Bend, but to the eastern shore and on into Sabine Parish there, that this is a dangerous situation with those strong
and it's moving
winds.
right now, basically right over the core of it, moving right over Toledo Bend.
And so
probably some of the highest winds right now.
Yeah, right there, coming right across. So here's Toledo Bend coming up right there. So we'll go back to the velocity scan from the dual pole Doppler radar. Yeah, well, that's a hail. While we're on the subject of hail, look at that hail there. And what this is an estimation. It's using a lot of the variables, including what we call the wet bulb zero temperature. But bottom line is, supercell with the strong updrafts that are enough to make a tornado can produce destructive hail, and that's what you're looking at in the purple areas. Those are estimated some very large hail. Now, what we're looking up in the sky a bit, about 4,000 or 5,000 feet up, but you're looking at the possibility of these getting up there golf ball size, perhaps larger, near golf ball size, and possibly going along with the 70-mile-an-hour winds that the Weather Service is talking about. So, a very dangerous situation with the winds, the hail. Of course, you got the thunder and lightning. So this is a powerful storm. You see the congregation of the lightning strikes there. Here's the motion there, and so it's a pretty powerful storm when it has that many lightning strikes, the hail, and the very strong winds. There's a lot of energy in that storm, and it's coming right over Toledo Bend as we speak. Coming back to our Omega 3, you can see it coming right across there and moving into Sabine Parish now. Ranges starting in Noble. Here's 171, and the worst of the weather goes back into still in the East Texas there, where we did have that possible tornado. But right now is a pretty strong gust front that's moving. You can see the gust front now coming up on the east side of Toledo Bend.
Yeah, it looks like anybody down there that might have been down there. North Toledo Bend State Park, the Wildwood Resort area, up towards maybe Ebar. But I'm saying right now, if you're in the vicinity between Toledo Bend and Zwolle, and then Zwolle southward, more down towards Toledo Town area, I think it's going to stay just north of Toledo Town, but that worst of it is really heading there, just around that area of North Toledo Bend State Park.
And there's Highway 6, so it turns into Highway 6 there.
Yeah, it goes just north of that.
And notice, Patrick, so now we're getting a bit of a comma shape, and there's a little bit brighter inflow. In other words, the winds are starting to get a little bit stronger, and it's possible this may form up a tornado again right here as it's coming across. You see the brighter green colors there and the bright red, and the way it's kind of bowing out, so it's kind of working around to where we may see another spin up. That could be quite prominent with those very strong straight line winds. So we're not out of the woods with tornadoes. You still have that warning, but it looks like the strongest winds are just about to move out of the warning. We're going to keep you on just a few moments more. But Toledo Bend, folks, and as Patrick was telling you there, south of Noble there, west of Manny, here's Florine. Just get your bearings there right along Toledo Bend. Please do take cover, as this is a dangerous storm, a powerful one because it's a supercell and it has a lot of energy, and as it's coming across into Louisiana, it's bringing that energy with it. But you can see right there, and it's pixelated, but I don't have it smoothed out, but it could be that this may try to spin up another tornado. As soon as we get out of the tornado warned area, we'll take you back to your scheduled programming, but we may have to get back on. But still, a dangerous situation with this moving in to Sabine Parish here, just coming right over the Toledo.
They did issue a new severe thunderstorm warning for the cell we've been watching forever there. Made its way through Natchitoches over towards Winfield. Now, and I guess it's good for us at least, it's gotten east of that area. They issued it for Caldwell, Jackson, and Wynn. Okay. But that is moving out of our region, which is good news. I will tell you, I have a friend of mine there, the owner down there of Toledo Town and Tackle. I've been trying to send him notes there to find out what he sees and tell if he hears anything. He's looking there north of Louisiana Highway 6 there.
Okay.
And he says it's looking dark there up towards that area for sure.
We do have a weather watcher, Jerry DuPont from Toledo Town, and I think he lives in that area. I don't know if he's sending any messages in.
I've not seen anything as of yet.
At one particular cell near Winfield right now, so severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning, but it does have some spin to it, and it's moving. You can see, and it's trying to. It has the gust front coming out, and it has the greens and the reds together, so the greens are blowing back to Shreveport, the reds away, and they're bowing out. And so trying to spin up there, but it has a good, what we call a rear flanking down draft coming from the middle part of the atmosphere that's really kicking out some strong gusty winds. A bit out of our viewing area here. We do have some folks but in this area that do report to us, but that is moving a little bit farther to the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. So that'll get up toward Columbia. They'll move away or north of Alla there. But going back to Toledo Bend, and that's where the action is really right now for us. I'm going to, let's see, let's pan over there real quick, expand out. So again, folks, we've been going along with a couple of tornado warnings here over the past several minutes. Still under one tornado warning for about another 10 minutes here. And here's what's happening, this particular storm. So what you see in red there, it looks like a C. That's a big gust front. These winds may be up 70 miles an hour. I can't give you a good estimate. We're at about 4,000 or 5,000 feet. This is moving perpendicular to the radar site. I can give you good information going back and forth if we're coming towards Shreveport away. But I can tell you, though, and the Weather Service will confirm this, they're saying possibly 70-mile-an-hour winds with this as it's expanding out. But it's also trying to spin up there as it expands out. This expands out and is trying to form another tornado. And that's why we had the tornado warning. But it is moving out of that tornado warning, moving into Sabine Parish there. Real quick, I'll get you an update on who's in the path of this. Manny, you are in the path of this. Okay, that strong gust front there. As for distance-wise, as the crow flies here from the edge of the gust front, radar indicated, it's about 12 miles away. So with the storm moving to the east-northeast, 45 miles an hour from what I recall, that's just a matter of minutes away there, reaching your area. So I'll expand out real quick. And let's see, go about right here. Let's move it over and give you an idea of when that's going to arrive in the Manny area. So that's a little more populated location where this is coming to. Now, this could still spin up another tornado, and so we have to watch that. So here we go. Is it going about 40 miles an hour northeast at 45? So looking at Manny at 354, so that's what about almost a little less than 20 minutes away, 15 minutes away. Provençal shortly after 4 o'clock, and Natchez at 4:30. Now, the areas that had storms earlier, these storms haven't worn out your atmosphere any because of the supercell environment that we're in. There's no cold front that's blowing through, so you can still see more of this activity come your way here in the next several minutes. So that's what's going on. A real quick update as this storm, we'll see what the Weather Service is going to do here. They do have a severe thunderstorm warning extending into Louisiana. It's not a tornado warning, so let me clear this out, but I'll get you updated here before we let you go back to your normal programming. Let's see here. Let's go. So we have the tornado watch, and that's for DeSoto Parish, Red River, Sabine, Natchitoches, Wynn, Bienville, on over to Jackson, Lincoln, and Union parishes. This is a particularly dangerous situation type tornado watch, which means tornadoes, if they do gather up and get strong, they could last a long time and produce some incredible damage, kind of like what we had in Idabel there a few weeks back. That goes until 7 o'clock. That's in and near the watch area. We could have that trouble. And as for warnings, we'll go back here. The tornado warning that's down there in Toledo Bend, that'll expire in just a few minutes. The severe thunderstorm warning for some strong straight line winds and a possible tornado, that goes until 4:15, and that's in the Louisiana side of Toledo Bend here. So
we are starting to see also, several little cells popping up now, basically stretching from Interstate 20, Shreveport, southward towards Stonewall, southeast of Stonewall. All of these, they perk up. They all have the same, as far as how they look and what they're doing there with it. Maybe perhaps producing some small hail with it, maybe some gusty winds. Hoping still that those up in that area don't have as high of a risk of becoming severe, where mainly we've been seeing it in Sabine Parish and Natchitoches Parish and Wynn Parish.
Yeah, and that's the hail track, Patrick, there. Look at the size of that hail. So when you get up in the high blue and the purple, that's some pretty mean, large hail, possibly golf ball size hail. Now, again, we're looking at elevation, but with the what we call the wet bulb zero, or the temperature at which this hail would start freezing, it's only about 10,000 feet up. And with the velocity shoving it down into the ground, it wouldn't take much. The updraft holding it up there is probably 70 plus miles an hour. The downdraft too, giving it a pretty good slug toward the ground. I suspect 2-inch hail is not out of the question for you folks down there. Going back to the velocity scan here, we'll put that into motion. And so now that big gust front has moved into Sabine Parish there. And so,
I can't tell you that. I'm sorry, Joe.
Go ahead.
They did cancel it. It's still popping up there on your screen. They did cancel the right at 3:30. Cancels the tornado warning for it there. But having said that, give me one moment. But it's weird. Shreveport cancels tornado warning for St. Augustine, but Shreveport continues the tornado warning for the same storm.
Yeah, and that's already passed there, so it doesn't look prominent as a tornadic thunderstorm, but it does have that gust front that's headed toward the Manny area, and this will knock some trees down. This will cause some power line damage. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer. So moving in a pretty good community here, and still has a little bit of a curvature to where there could be a spin up, but right now it's taking on just a big gust front and bowing out. Where you have that apex of that bow right there, Louisiana 191. That would be where you're probably having some problem with winds gusting over 70 miles an hour. That is moving toward the Manny area, and that's just minutes away from Riven and Manny. So just want to get you updated. It's 10 miles away, so another probably 15 minutes from you. You could be looking at pretty strong gusts of wind, some large hail, so some potential structural damage from just strong straight line winds. So no tornado warnings in our area. Now that the warning that they still have populated there, there's nothing of the such in East Texas. So what we're going to do here, unless Patrick, you find anything else
so
going
what
on.
they say, and I'm waiting to see, updating winds with the present severe storm warning in Sabine moving northeast at 45. We pretty much do that. $half-sized hail over Zwolle possible.
Yeah, I see that. So your supercells, the strongest ones, are all down there south of I-20. You can see them. And
they're estimating the winds now 80-mile-an-hour winds.
And that is that's some structural damage there. 80-mile-an-hour winds can topple a manufactured or trailer home, even one that's tied down. 80-mile-an-hour winds, and not only just moving this structure and causing it to tumble, but throwing debris into it too. The walls can't handle that. There'll be debris penetrating the walls, so you really need to get out and find some shelter. Manny, that storm coming right at you there, and this particular storm coming right along looks like was that 171 there coming across as we speak. And very heavy rain and hail. And the way the storm fans out in the upper atmosphere, it looks like a V. Those are indications that it's probably a hail-producing storm. We still got another storm that has some spin with it, moving through southern Natchitoches, but not producing any major spin that would warrant a warning from the National Weather Service. Real quick, we'll go to the velocity scan here. That's the hail, but you can see we do have the hail down there in those supercells. Let's go back to the velocity real quick. And so that gust front is kind of coming up there. And, I don't see, it's some really strong winds. You got the inflow, and this is where you have, the greens are blowing back to Shreveport, the reds away, but it's kind of a straight line coming at you. So a big gust front that could have 80-mile-an-hour winds toward the Manny area over the next about 15 minutes. Natchitoches, nothing your way now from what you had earlier. So things have settled down just a little bit. Any more information from the National Weather Service, Patrick?
No, nothing as of right now with it. Everything pretty much stays the same, just 80-mile-per-hour winds now. They're saying possible with that storm now moving into Sabine Parish, that is right near Zwolle, Louisiana.
All right, folks, I'll tell you what, it's 3:45 and currently no tornado warnings. We still have the tornado watch. It's possible we could see more here over the next few hours. That particularly dangerous situation type watch goes until 7 o'clock, so we'll be here to inform you. Also, you can go to ktbs.com. And also, we're broadcasting for the next hour and 15 minutes on KPXJ CW21, so you can reach us there, and we'll keep you advised. And if anything changes, we'll break back in and help you get safe there. So now we'll take it back to your normally scheduled programming. Okay.
Which is basically your news.